Well, thank you everybody for attending our meeting today on task forces. It's you're a member of one of 3 different task forces. If you're a member of more than one, you're welcome to keep membership in both, or if you want to choose. I think we have one member here that needs to or would like to maybe choose one, or you can do both. Please know we don't ever want to turn down volunteers. But nonetheless, just let us know which one you want to keep, and we'll make that adjustment today. This is a relatively new initiative, and it's something that NBEA needed to do, and I'm going to share with you why. And it's a very, very important initiative that we're doing, but it's probably one of the most speculative. It's one of the most, could be one of the most challenging in some areas, especially for leaders in the association like our president or me. We want to some degree, re-tap into the roots of our membership to leverage your expertise to apply in your association. Now that sounds basic, but I'm going to share with you some basic data and some information about what task forces are today. And then we'll take questions, and then I'm going to break you into groups and let you decide and let you meet your fellow peer members. And there may be future times. This will not be the only meeting. We'd like to have some others as well. Now, all 3 task forces are combined today because our message is largely the same, regardless of the particular topic. And so why schedule 3 meetings when you can do 1 and get this orientation kind of out of the way? So let's begin. First of all, I want to thank each of you. You are not taken for granted. Volunteerism generally is down across the board in almost every trade association because as a society, we've become a little bit more individualistic than collective. And we're seeing, but so that means anytime we have a group of volunteers, hey, Dwayne, anytime we have a group of volunteers that are ready to engage, we're happy. And so this is critical to the success of NBEA. Let's take a look at what your mission is on each of these task forces. These task forces have one mission: to make NBEA more relevant in business topics, topic areas by providing critical guidance, information, programs, and more that serve teachers in these diverse fields. You will have autonomy to study, design, recommend, offer critical topic specific programs and services that will drive NBEA's value proposition. Now, on the surface, that could be almost overwhelming when you look at that at the first glance. We're going to show you some options that you have to work this really, really simply. Or if you really want to do something big for your industry and be known for it, this is your opportunity. Okay. And you may not know exactly what that is today. I don't know what that is, but you will know over time. And as you go through a process as a group to decide what you need to do to better connect NBEA to your topic. And here's what I mean by that. So currently NBEA, and this isn't, this is just more of an assessment of where we are. It's not a critique, but we have limited partnerships and communications with other organizations in some areas. So for example, let's take entrepreneurship. We have, we've partnered with Nifty. We've got a couple other nonprofits we've kind of partnered with. They do some webinars for us. We're familiar with what they do. They promote entrepreneurship, but overall, we really don't have any real view of what the entrepreneurship education ecosystem really looks like. We have these bits and pieces that we've grasped at, that we try to connect with, like Nifty, for example. Some of you know who Nifty is, some of you don't. We've tried to connect with them. They've presented, they've reviewed our standard, but those relationships largely involve me and just being around me. And I know that we can't have an association built on my relationships alone. We have to have you inculcated into that environment. So we have no formal relationship building with other organizations other than a few people that might go out here or there and say, hey, you may want to talk to so-and-so. And I go out as a part of my job with NBEA, but again, it can't just revolve around an executive director. My strategy and our strategy as a board of directors is to empower you to assist us in that. And that's going to take us a lot further. We can go faster alone. but we can go further together. That is so true. And that's really the purpose of task forces, in hoping that we'll engage you to help us make the association better. We have a degraded ability to coordinate needs based on member study and input. So when we have a webinar, it's largely, I would say 80 to 90% of the time, it's somebody approaching me or me approaching them and something sounding good that might be relevant to a business educator. Now, I've been a business educator, but it's been a long time ago. I'm not as up to date as you are in the topic matter that you may teach. Especially, I've never taught entrepreneurship. I've never taught personal finance. I taught computer applications. So we need people like you to be able to connect us to what are the needs across our membership for these particular 3 different areas. Now, we could have chosen any one of 10 different topic areas in our national business education standards. You know, we have 10 different topics: management, accounting, personal finance, entrepreneurship, information technology. Please don't ask me what topic in information technology. There are numerous topics in information technology. There's management, international business, communications. We chose 3 that are our most popular, and that's why you're here today. That's what you signed up for, is to be on a task force that addresses issues for your particular topic that you have expertise in. So from a year from now, if we want to begin with the end in mind, we want to have strong relationships with stakeholders in our topic ecosystems. We want to be able to know who are the players. I'd like a mind map. We need maybe even to publish a resource guide where are the curriculum choices with entrepreneurship education or with personal finance. Personal finance is another monster of a topic, because there are so many different groups out there that are offering curriculum, many of them for free. You have Dave Ramsey, you have other personal finance associations or foundations. I mean, there's a host of them. You have Next Gen Personal Finance, which is a big hit with a lot of our teachers. If you have never heard of those, what's the best? What's the advantages of certain curriculums? We don't know that. You do, and the purpose of your task force is to help us align and to better clarify what these topics are all about. We need to plug in. NBEA has roots. If you think of a big oak tree and you have roots, we have 10 different topics that go down and divide out. So in personal finance, entrepreneurship, and marketing are 3 of those major roots that we want to start to fertilize and water through your efforts to help the tree grow bigger and to help it grow stronger. So we want to be able to also make informed choices on what these teachers need in these topics. If you're an entrepreneurship teacher, where's the gap between what you have and what you need? What's the gap? If we don't fill that, what good are we? We don't want to shovel a bunch of resources that you already have to you. I mean, that's useless. But where's the gap between what you have and what you need? That's what, and I don't know that. A lot of our leaders don't know that, because our leaders aren't isolated or siloed, or not, let's just say siloed, but they don't teach those topics every day. Our president this year has got vast amounts of experience in business education, but he's not in the classroom every day anymore. So his perspective on, say, a marketing class may be a little different, because he doesn't have that in-class expertise or the content expertise in that particular, what we might call vertical. So, so what we would like in a year from now is, at least in these 3. Now, we're working on other areas as well. Don't think that we're just vacant or not participating or trying to grow relationships in other areas. We are, but at the same time, we need members to plug in, and this is the easiest place to start. NBEA will offer a targeted and relevant services offerings based on the needs identified and pursued by the task forces. So what are our priorities in the areas of entrepreneurship? What are the priorities or our top things on our list? Where's the low-hanging fruit on the gaps in personal finance? What do we need to do? Maybe we need to simplify. Maybe we need to make something more thorough. I don't know, but that'll be up to you. Now, this sounds like a really big task, but again, the way you organize this and the way you discuss this and the process that your task force uses to get to what you're going to do is going to be very important. Because how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And you don't have to eat an elephant. We're not asking you to. In fact, I can tell you these groups, we had a lot of trepidation, a lot of fear on these groups, because we're going to turn leadership and give you autonomy. And once you have autonomy, there's a chance that some groups will just simply flounder because they don't have the leadership. And I'm not saying anything personal about anybody. It's more group dynamics. At the same time, we want to be optimistic and give you resources and clarify the vision. From there, it's going to be up to you. And again, your group could do something really small, or your group could do something really big. It just depends on where your leadership is, where your expertise is, the amount of available time some of you have. And we don't expect any of you to neglect your children or your friends for this task force. We don't expect that. We don't expect you to work full-time or even part-time. But what we do ask is that you give it some thought and dedicate what's needed to fulfill what you think is important. Let's move on to the how NBEA, let's move on to our next. This is what we've started with. This is kind of just a hastily put together ecosystem. And we have, all of our 10 topics on the right here, 10 topics that we offer. And I could branch out on a lot of these like we did with technology, cybersecurity, graphic art, analytics, programming, lots of different things there. Didn't even put our hardware maintenance and things like that. But here you are, entrepreneurship, marketing, and personal finance. So what we need to do is we need to be able to understand where we need to have some organizational expertise in these areas that make known what our ecosystem is. As a matter of fact, you could probably branch out. Let's do this an exercise real quick with you. For those of you, I'm seeing finance, entrepreneurship. Okay, so if I were going to branch out with different organizations and groups, let's do a quick mind map in the chat. What would you add to entrepreneurship? It would break out and do what? How would you break this out? So if you're going to, this is the entrepreneurship topic. What are some of the subcategories that go with entrepreneurship? And we'll go ahead and look to the chat for this and go ahead and think about that. Let's just do a quick idea here, idea check. Color of accounting. Okay, excellent. Color accounting. We have some resources on that in our library. Small business management. Good. You might even say entrepreneurship. You might even say something like teaching strategies. Okay, and so you don't have to get specific, but you have and what are the teaching strategies? Color of accounting is one for sure. Small business association. Okay, entrepreneurship, how you market that, which ties into another group. Absolutely, those are all great. Okay, so what you're doing is first identifying your ecosystem in your topic area. So that's going to be part of what you're going to need to do, to be able to identify what we need and where the gaps are between where we are as an association and where we would like to be in engaging. Let me make this very practical. We may come back to this particular slide in a moment. But by the way, NBEA, I'm happy to tell you, NBEA has relationships with groups like FBLA and BPA right now. Recently, NBEA went to their meetings for the first time that I can remember. And not only did we just attend the meetings and exhibit at FBLA and BPA, we taught classes. We taught classes with those organizations for teachers and provided additional professional development opportunities for them that are relevant. That's where we try out new content. And with FBLA, they want to give us a whole branded track of things to provide in the future for teachers. We're thrilled about that because we know that's where our members are. So we're going to be going there. So those are some of the things that we've done on our side, on staff side, to be able to grow those opportunities and increase our influence in the business education ecosystem with CTSOs. I still haven't we haven't done anything with DECA yet, but we hope to. We know Frank, he's actually our landlord. He's the CEO of DECA, but at the same time, we just haven't had the opportunity to engage with DECA, but we hope, we'd love your input if you have some on that. So then there's vendors, too many to count, and each one of them have a real vested stake. Most of you, there's vendors out there that are providing most of your curriculum. And so we can't exclude them. We want to include them in that ecosystem and knowing they're in the right place. All right, so let's go look. Here's what you could do as a task force now. When you get together as your task force, again, we want to give you the autonomy. And here's just some ideas. These aren't prescriptions. The least amount of effort that you could do as a task force, something to be super simple, you can probably get done in one meeting and you're done for the rest of the year, which we hope you don't do. Actually, we would hope that you would meet throughout the year and that you might meet every month or two and be able to develop and grow and find out where the trends and issues are. We would love for you to connect about your topic once every month or two. And we don't think that's unreasonable, but here's the least effort. Arrange a useful webinar with a stakeholder through nbea.org/engage. If you go to nbea.org, now here's why I say this. Why do I mention the website? Because I'll tell you this, NBEA has 3 staff members. We have to be super efficient to be able to do all the things that we do. One of the things, and I don't know if you deal with this as much as I do, but one of the most, here are the 2 top things that just sump the time away from us, and probably you too, is when would you like to do this? What are some available dates? And you have to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then once you get the date, then you have to do the description. And you go back and forth, back and forth. And before you know it, you have 10 or 15 messages in your inbox and you don't know, and bits and pieces came in through every one of, have you been there? Have you all been there? We don't want to do that, okay? We don't want to do that. So what we suggest is this. We be able to go to NBEA.org engage. So if you want to schedule a webinar, say you have a vendor or you come up with your own webinar, some type of professional development program for your members, go to NBEA/engage and just choose host a webinar. If you come here, there's a form that you fill out. You can submit it to us. And if we have any changes, we might suggest them. I can tell you, most of the time, the changes are very, very minor. You submit your name, and check this out. If you read the directions, there's a Google sheet here that shows you the available dates on which we have the webinars available. Right now, we're only down to about 3 dates that are available between now and the end of the year. And that we're going to be adding some more in January, so know that those are coming up. But right now, you can't edit this, by the way, but tell us on the form which 2 dates you prefer, and we'll make one of them happen, okay? It's that simple. So, and then we're done. We're done. You do it, you schedule it, I email you back, and then we send you reminders periodically before the end on the day of the event. It's that simple. It's that simple. There's no need for back and forth. What do you want to do? Is this a good idea? Don't need any of that. We trust you to arrange that and then just be able to submit it on the form. Again, we'd love to talk to you. Now, if you want to talk to us and there's a leadership, I don't want to close our doors. We have an open door policy. I have an open door policy. We want to support you 100% as much as we can. So, NBEA/engage. So you could do a webinar, develop a resource list that teachers could use that we could publish for your ecosystem. So think of a kind of a mind map maybe, or just a resource list of topics in that particular area. Write a collective article for the forum. Here's more effort. Now, if you get more ambitious, arrange a useful webinar with stakeholders. Well, I've already said that. That's another thing. And you could teach it. So if you don't want to have a vendor do it, you could do it. We trust you. You're a teacher. If you have something to share with your peers, we would love for you to do it. Develop a resource list, kind of like a wiki page with links and descriptions of players and your topic. Think a mind map for the topic area. I mean, that would be useful for teachers who are teaching it for the first time to immediately, you know, we've heard, I'm teaching entrepreneurship for the first time to middle school. Where do I even start? Well, that mind map would really be cool if you could just pop, there it is, there's the ecosystem, here's your vendors, here's your curriculum providers, take your choice, here's our thoughts. That's a huge resource. That's something that members really find valuable. And then finally, we don't want to limit you to a webinar or to something like that or an article. I mean, you could represent and promote NBEA as at an industry event. You say, well, who's going to pay for that? NBEA might pay for that. You say, well, how do we get money? Propose it, propose it with a good plan for return on investment. And you might find that we don't want to limit you. We want to support you in every way. If you have an initiative that you think will pay back, we'd love to hear it. At the same time, if you have an initiative that needs some special funding, make a request. If it's small enough, I can approve it. If it's large, then we might have to have a board meeting or a board approval to do that if it's past the budget. So keep that in mind, that we don't want to limit you to well, I don't have any money. Well, maybe you do. Let's look at it and let's make the case. That's part of it. All right, create a teacher online training program for something related to your topic. So something like, I'd love to see this eventually. What are the top 10 traits of a great entrepreneurship teachers, and what are the educational components to go with that? And let's offer an open digital badge for that. Right now they have entrepreneurship programs that teach you about entrepreneurship, but what about entrepreneurship teaching? How are you riding the line with actual, how are you doing these different projects? Are you doing projects? Are you depending on a lecture for teaching entrepreneurship? How are you teaching this, and what are those? Just an idea. But those are things that we could do. You could design it in Canva. We could get a learning management system. We can make PowerPoints. You could do PowerPoint recorded video. I mean, you're teachers. You do this all the time. We could work with you on that before you go to any heavy production value. Talk with us, and we can help you kind of figure out the best medium. Just an idea. Create a best practices for teaching X assessments that could be offered with a course. I mean, that's good as well. Any type of anything like that, or a major partnership. If you have a partnership, say, and you can arrange it with some bank. Right now, for example, we would love to have a relationship with a bank where we're promoting quality business education through personal finance and entrepreneurship. And then that bank help fund us with some efforts. We don't have any of those contacts right now at the banks. We were looking for someone at a bank educational department to come join us at strategic planning, but we don't know who those people are. We can't even, you go to Bank of America's website and it's like trying to get in touch with somebody at, the IRS. It's very difficult. It's hard to get a human being in a particular department. So, but some of those people. And so who are they? And how can we leverage those relationships so there's reciprocal value for everybody, not just NBEA, but the banks as well. The last part of our presentation, so those are just some ideas. You're gonna have a bunch more, and we'd love to hear them at some juncture. So let's look at now task force, the tactics. I want to be specific about this. Please arrange your own meetings. That is one of the top things that just take right now we're managing our curriculum standards committee, which has over almost 50 different people in 10 different groups. And we have no choice. And you know how groups are. Sometimes nobody answers or they fall off the radar and you have to follow up. We're managing all of that and much, much more. We can't do another 3 task forces. So please, once you decide kind of you don't have to be a leader. You don't have to chair the group. You can just schedule the meetings. Another thing, and I want to be sensitive to this, there were some other task forces that we had at NBEA. And the groups just failed. They didn't produce anything. And one of the groups, they had a lot of people who just wanted to be spectators, show up and not want to do anything. There was one person said, well, I'll arrange a meeting, but I don't know how to doodle. So I didn't really know how to respond to that because we're teachers in the 21st century. And it's as easy as Googling it and going and trying it out. So we're not going to be able to assist with tactics like how you doodle. That's all online. And unfortunately, again, we have to do that for other groups, but we can't do it for these. Okay, so I think that's, and you may not need to doodle. Maybe if you don't know what doodle is, you can go to winisgood.net. That's another really good one. I think it's easier, frankly. There's probably a ton more that can make your meeting planning efficient, but we're going to ask you to do that if you don't mind. Okay. Provide, and if you can't do a doodle, how are we going to expect any relevant product? If we don't want to learn to doodle, then how are we going to get anything else in a 21st century topic? from, so it just wasn't a good match, even though I love the people. The people are wonderful. It's just like, okay, they don't want to learn that part of it. We have to move on from there. So provide updates. Now, here's the last thing. Each of you and your colleagues have been assigned to a business education group on NBEA's website. Let me show you how to get there. Okay. So if you go to nbea.org, you go to
Hey,
NBEA.
Joe, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Should we be seeing your screen on the NBEA.org?
Yes, and I'm going to have to reshare my screen, not my
Okay.
app. There we go.
Sorry. Thanks.
No, you saved me from, I love you, Michelle. Great. Okay. Can you see now? Okay. So once you log in at NBEA, in fact, I'll log out just so you'll see. Normally when you log out at NBEA, you see something like this. We want to sign in with your association's account. And once you sign in, you're going to see an area for groups, and I'm going to show you how to get that as soon as this loads. It's taking, of course, it loads instantly every other day, but today. So it should be coming. We have a group set up that's coming. So while that's spinning, we have a group set up for each of your task forces. It's really your online collaboration area. So you might see something like this. You're going to click groups right here in the My Profile menu, click. And now I'm a member of a bunch of different groups. So if I just put task force here, let's search for that word. Okay, so I'm a member of the entrepreneurship task force, the marketing task force. I'm currently the group administrator. So let's say the personal finance task force. If you want to know who your members are, you can look at your members. And here are all your members, okay? There are your members. You can connect with them if they want to share their contact info, or you can message them here. Also, too, let's look at I've got another one that's I got to make some few adjustments to this. But if we come back to groups up here, and I come back to, say, I was working on the entrepreneurship one this morning, and here we go. So if we go to entrepreneurship, we see that I just posted in the group feed, in the forum, task forces, how to succeed. So if you want to come here to the general discussion area, you can post things, new topics, and it automatically goes to everybody, okay? And it helps ensure deliverability. It also gets this work out of your inbox, okay? The inbox today is highly inefficient. It's loaded with stuff from your school. It's loaded with stuff from home, and it's necessary, but it's not dependable for work like this. We want to keep all of your work out of your inbox. So try to remember to post things here if you have questions. Also, a status report. After every meeting, we would love a status report so staff can maintain and kind of just keep tabs on the progress of these. We don't want you to go off and let's never hear from you again. We want to kind of know what's going on. Are we succeeding? Are we meeting the expectations? Are we going to meet our goals? So on and so forth. So you have a forum here. You can click the forum. You can click the directory, group home. Also, too, I'll be happy to give any of you who want group admin access. So you can email each other in the group, and you can come up here. You can download. You can manage files. You can do all different types of things. You can email your group members or message them. Email is exactly that. But let me tell you the limitations of this very quickly. If you email members, it emails them essentially plain text. Why plain text? It helps ensure deliverability. Okay, it's that simple. If you message members, you can use HTML email, but it sends a summary of your message, and then the person has to click it and log in to read it. But it ensures, again, deliverability. It makes sure that what comes into your inbox is very simple and passes spam filters, although they always does. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It bypasses the spam filters, so you can ensure that you know you have an address. So that's why we're using these groups. They're essentially work groups. They're an online area where you can store files, links to Google Docs, whatever you want to do. We would suggest that you use this just so staff can manage it and gets this work out of your inbox. Okay, if you had to use something else, we're not against it. But at the same time, this is what we're providing you that's a part of our system and already has access for everybody in your group. Okay. All right, so that's that. We're about 34 minutes in. Any questions at this juncture so far? What are you thinking? Tell me what you know. Are you excited? Does this make sense? Anything else? And I'll close with one more slide. Everybody good? All right. Okay, last slide. Here are some topic recommendation or some tactical recommendations for succeeding in the groups. Use the online group. It's going to save you. Communicate expectations. Some of our groups, the ones that have the hardest time, are the ones that don't communicate or have a leader that communicates. The best groups kind of get to know each other. They all become friends, and man, they crank it out. It's wonderful. If you don't get to know one another and you don't ever communicate expectations, you might have a meeting every quarter or every 6 months. You're probably not going to do a whole lot. That's just the nature of group dynamics. Set your priorities. Create a process at first. What are you going to do? You don't have to decide today what you're going to do, but what's the business education ecosystem look like? Start with a mind map of your field. Where are the gaps between what NBEA does and where we need to be in a year as far as your topic area? Use goals and timelines. I'd say by your first or second meeting, you should have some clear goals of what you want to achieve. How you do that is up to you. This is a great leadership exercise as well. This is Group Dynamics 101, and it's going to give you a great opportunity to put into practice all the things that we read about leadership every day. And so send periodic reminders. I just tell you, again, biggest challenges, not communicating with a group. Don't go a month. If you have something once a month, great, but send a reminder every 2 weeks, okay? I'm telling you, it's the best way to keep on people's radar and make sure that there's life to your group. And move, okay? My son's on a basketball team, and I saw this many years ago. It hasn't been this year recently, but and he's just right over here. He can hear what I'm saying, so I have to be careful. But his basketball team, they were all tired, and he's the point guard, and he's standing there, and he's bouncing the ball, and he's looking for somebody who's not moving. And all his teammates were just standing there because they're covered, and they didn't move. And somebody yelled, "Move!" And I understood they were tired. But once they started to move, and then my wife said it, she summarized it great. She goes, yeah, movement creates opportunities. And it's the same way with group dynamics. Make sure that you're moving as a group to show life, and that will ensure that the dynamics work and produce, okay? Don't ignore that. Finally, evaluate your progress. Be honest, we can do this, we can't do that. We don't have the time for this. And, and here's the last thing. If there's nobody in your group that rises to the occasion, if everybody's burned out or you have some circumstances, there's nobody to lead, close it down. Close it down. We do not want to waste your time, our hours with things that won't, and there's no hard feelings. It is what it is. But we want to give you the opportunity that you're not going to feel bad. You're not going to get a black mark or, a red check box by your name in our database. We appreciate you taking this on. We know life happens. That's understandable. However, it's our responsibility as a professional association to ensure we engage our members with relevant things and make you a part of that process, not just leaders dictating down. That's a sure success, that's sure to fail if you do that long term. So this is our goal. So that's the task forces. And, again, I would thank you for your support. We're going to divide up into groups in just a moment by your task force areas of expertise. Any questions so far collectively as we move on? Is the mission clear? Is there anything that's not clear or hazy for you at this juncture, which would be my failure to communicate?
Joe, everything you said, I understood and am clear about, and I really appreciated your reinforcement about the non-black mark and all of that. That was helpful. But can I just, I'm gonna send in the chat, if you don't care to maybe copy paste, I want to refer back to something you said earlier about relationships with maybe these companies and vendors and things. I'm sure you know about every single one of them, but maybe there's somebody here in.
You hit mute.
Oops, sorry. Yeah, I was trying to hit enter on the chat. I was going, but you said something about building those partnerships and relationships. And a lot of these right here are going to be relevant to all of these task forces on the curricula, as well as possibly for NBEA to build and do like you were saying with FBLA, PBL, all of those things. So I just thought I'd share that really quickly before I lost that thought and we got sent to our group, so to speak. So anyway,
Right.
but thank you again for really reinforcing that on that last bit on that last slide.
Excellent. And I see your list here. And, you know, we have relationships with some of those groups, others we don't. You know, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has been a good partner for us. They've helped us. We appreciate Leslie Jones and her team. Federal Reserve, not so much. EverFi, no. Jumpstart, you know, I got a lead on Jumpstart. I have no contacts at Jumpstart. Isn't that the insurance group? I believe maybe, no, it's not. So I'm off on that. See, there's the deficit right there. Color of Accounting, we have great relationships with them. SHRM, no relationships with them. So you can see where we're going from there. So that's where we are. All right, excellent. So Wharton, oh, I love Wharton. See, Tree Discovery ED, absolutely. See, this is what we need from you, is that. All right, so without
one more thing.
Sure,
I'm so
sure.
sorry. I'm not trying to hijack.
No, not at all.
But since I'm not in the entrepreneurship group and I really don't have time to belong to it, even though that is something I do have a little bit that I do. In Mississippi at the University of Southern Mississippi, the Entra people may want to take a note of this. I have a really good relationship with the Mississippi Council for Economic Education and with USM. They have a phenomenal curriculum and resources and things that they offer for entrepreneurship for our state and contacts nationally. I would be happy to try to connect you with James Wilcox at USM and Selena Schwartzfager at MSCEE if you would like for me to do so. I can share that with you after the fact, Joe.
Okay, great. And what she just said is a really great point. Please feel free to copy me on things if you'd like. However, be careful of creating a list for me to do because my time is almost up. What we need to do is to have you close that gap, have the meeting, invite me to the meeting if you'd like. I'll attend if I possibly can. But it'll be up to you to kind of communicate with that and develop that partnership. I don't want to say that I'm trying to get away from it. I want to be included, but at the same time, my time is so limited with other tasks. It's very difficult on this side of things. Because if everybody does that, Joe McClary just gets a bigger list. We actually need that collective effort. But Michelle, great start. I mean, that's where it all has to begin. And I think those things are good. So anyway. All right, so I've got 3 groups, marketing, entrepreneurship. I'm going to open the groups. If nothing else, you want to get to know each other today, kind of find out your backgrounds and why you wanted to be on the group, why you wanted to be a part of this effort. And maybe just start the idea of what your process is going to be. If somebody wants to volunteer to arrange a future meeting, feel free to do that and post who that is in your group area, in your forum. That way we'll kind of know. If you want to just start with that, I mean, you don't have to commit to leadership or chairing or anything like that. Just figure out who's gonna do what moving forward. And you also get a full list and all that. I mean, that's all in the group. So I'm gonna hang out here. I'm gonna open up the rooms right now. You'll have to accept. You can go into your collective rooms. You can choose the room that you're in. And once you go in, I'm gonna hang out here in case you have any questions. if somebody wants to come out and ask me a question, you can, and then go back in, that's fine too, okay? All right. And then we'll be done at the top of the hour. We'll be finished. I'll hang out here in case you have any questions, okay? There we go. Okay, we got one person in marketing. Anybody else here in marketing? Okay. Nobody else is in marketing? Do you all have access or? Okay. All right. Adam is there. I'm going to join him because he's alone. We didn't have anybody from that group show except for Adam. So I'm going to have to go in there. Are you guys okay? Or are you going to go join a group? I see 4 people haven't joined a group yet.
I haven't joined a group. Where do I join a group?
Okay, you had a, here, I'm going to put you in, what is your topic area?
Entrepreneurship.
All right.
Oh, and I'm on my husband's computer. Maybe that's something that's doing.
No, well, I mean, I'm going to put you, I'm going to assign you to, you said entrepreneurship?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to put you in there right now. There you go.
Okay, got it.
Hi, Adam. You're all by yourself in there, I see.
Yeah, I was. I just came back to the meeting.
Well, let's just talk here then.
Sure.
Hey, Joe,
Hi.
it's Brenda Jacobson. I'm driving.
Yeah, I'll
So,
put you
can
in.
you-
I'll put you in entrepreneurship. Okay.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you. Okay. All right. So Adam, it's you and me right now.
Okay.
We had some individuals
Sure.
sign up for marketing now, but this is part of it. This is part of the group dynamic. Let's go here to, let me stop my recording real quick.